been met. The MAPS district improvement team implements, monitors, and adjusts the continuous improvement plan, assists with developing district systems, ensures two-way communication between building teams. So really working to increase building communications amongst the teams, and then really taking a strong grasp all around the professional development of our staff. So these teachers are spokes individuals for each of the buildings, kind of help run their building teams, but really look at the needs of the district or of their buildings, and then collaborate together as more of a district team, and then help plan that professional development. We do have an upcoming meeting August 6th that will finalize some of the plans for the opening day PDs, and then they will meet quarterly throughout the year as well. Just a reminder, we are going to do the August 22nd board training, 5:30 to 8:30, and that's August 22nd. Michelle will make sure we get that out. I tried to look at some different opportunities for just the board, finding a date that was going to work. Just wasn't going to take place. It was, in some regards, a lot further away, and I think just as cost effective. So probably even less expensive than this August 22nd. So that is at the ISD, 5:30 to 8:30. So we'll get that information to you as well. Also a reminder. We do have an upcoming election coming forward. If you know any individuals that are looking to become board members, please let them know, or let me know. Petitions need to be in Tuesday, July 23rd. Moving on in the agenda, I believe that is it for superintendent comments. It is.
All right. Item 8 is new business. 8A is consideration of approving building handbooks. Suggested motion to approve the 24-25 handbooks for MHS, MBC, RRO, and the MAC as presented. Moved by Amanda, support by Tom. Discussion.
All right, so at the high school, it did work its way into a format of the Neola policy. So the print itself is a little different than the others that were utilized in that, but copy and paste the current handbook wording into the Neola template. This resulted in many formatting or order changes. All content from the previous handbook was included, as well as new information required by Neola update policies. You can see you should have received a document where they added sections about enrolling in the school, immunization, student records, review of instructional materials and activities, preparedness for toxic and asbestos hazards, discipline of students with disabilities, and students' rights of expression. Those are all laws that we have to apply by. When we work through the Neola policy, this is through their legal team in establishing that handbook. We just insert materials in that. We did link the board policies that are there. As far as course descriptions, because that's also, actually that's the next part, right? We have to do that, so I won't talk about that yet. So at the middle school, very little changes took place to the middle school handbook, as they had done a major overhaul previously on that. He had stated that some section headings had some word changes to it, but changes did not affect none of the changes affected policy. Wording changes were to clarify language, etc. The one thing that you might see is the end time, 2:45 to 2:40. They were eliminating one passing time before lunch. So rather than have a passing time before and after lunch, we're eliminating. That allows that time to be moved up to 2:40 dismissal. And at that 2:40 dismissal, it still works well for our clocks and hours time, but it allows the buses to get out and get turned back around, as we were having some struggles getting back to the MAC in time for that as well.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, they get out of class to go to lunch and they're just there?
I was just going to ask that. How can you eliminate passing time?
So they are going to, yes, they have eliminated one, either before or after.
So maybe instead of a
So instead of 40 minutes, they're getting
25
35.
Okay.
or something like that.
45 minutes for lunch? I only got 15.
Those were the good old days.
Start that stuff down.
Well, I know Stacy checked that over really well, but I was just curious how they eliminated it.
Then that is the middle school. Handbook changes. Change, take over just some dates, obviously. if you noticed in the reading, it was all the bolded areas, adding paragraphs to the contents, a lot of grammatical, I guess, components to it. Added Elementary and Secondary Education Act to the parent involvement, changed parent advisor group to parents as partners in parent involvement components. So a lot of verbiage change and things of the way that they were doing it, but still staying within the old policy. Changed class begin to instruction begins, added information on injury and illness, information on enrolling at the school, deleted the old information on early dismissal and updated, changed lost and found periodically throughout the school year, added information on medications, deleted information on non-prescribed medications, added information to individuals with disabilities, added information on limited English proficiency students, student records, directory information, recommended reading at home times were put in there as well. Very similar at the MAC as they work together in that process. And at the MAC, you saw a very similar process and same details in that as well. I guess, I don't know if you had opportunities to look at the handbooks. I know that there were a couple questions. One was regarding student records and the distribution of student records. We do not just distribute student records. There is what would be called a directory that we have, that if in certain situations, that's what we ask for the board policy, that the directory information could be given if deemed necessary. This would be solicitation individuals. So for instance, opportunities like, for instance, when we're working with Power School, we need to use a spreadsheet for them. That directory information would be something that does leave our hands, goes to someone else. It would run through all FOIA and FERPA laws within that component. It did have a connection to the Armed Forces recruiting. That is information that we do give. The question was around being in the middle school NBC handbook. I believe the only reason I will try to get more information, the reason that it's there is that with a student record, it could go back to the middle school ages, and they feel maybe it's necessary for a middle school parent to realize that if they're choosing to do the Armed Force someday, that their student record might show that they are going to, will receive at the high school level, would show back to a middle school.
Do we get contacted, kids in middle school get contacted by the armed services? It talks
They
about
are not, it does not,
being recruited.
no, not till high school.
No, and you can opt out when you get the information at the beginning of the year. You can opt out on any of that information, the directory information. If you don't want your information to go to the military, you would check that box. And then we'd have to redact that, and the school would have to redact it before it went to them. As far as recruitment goes, usually they just set up a table at the lunchroom and anybody can stop by.
That's high school or something.
At the high school level.
Yeah, that's the part
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
to me was that it was in the middle school.
So I'll clarify on that, but I believe it would be because I'm guessing that at some point in time, a parent was upset that their student record that was shared with the armed forces that they wanted to get into was verified from middle school age, and that
So it was an 8th grader in 7th grade, or 18 over in 7th grade, maybe.
yeah, right, for sure. Other questions
Jeff, on
around
that one, while we're on that one, the items kind of enumerated that are address, date of birth, city of birth. Some seem like odd things to be just in the directory. How does that, the language in the notebook, handbook doesn't talk about when you make choices to send that out. It simply said, as long as it was a not-for-profit, it was they can get it without parent consent, and it didn't talk about
So I think the way
as
it's,
specific as the board policy, a lot more specific.
I would not say that. I think that it's generalized on purpose in some regards, so it's one understanding from a parent what it could be used for. I mean, the only time we ever would give a record of information would be to our own educational components, and not for sale or solicitation, but just for our own.
Just doesn't read that way to me. It reads like.
Correct, I would agree, it does not, but it also allows
Yeah.
us for within the agreement of the handbook, let's say, MLAG asks for a student name or a student information on that, we could then, that is directory
Sure,
information.
public information. Seems like that makes sense.
And you used to post like awards, so sometimes awards will be posted like in the week, and so that if you opt out and you don't want your child's name in there for anything.
Yeah.
Or online, I mean, the Facebook post or something, so the parents always have the option to opt out and not put any information they don't want. Usually, yeah, and that's the type of information. I think the date of birth, the only thing I've seen when I was at the school, one of the directory informations on the database we'd get from Power School, for example, when the public health would come in to do vision, hearing, and screening, and they would want the students' information, or for the students' ID cards for like pictures, they would come in and they want directory information, so they could print the ID cards for the students. But other than that, and the birth date's not on there, but the grade would be.
Okay.
So birth date,
Talk
definitely
about
for
handbook.
public health, yeah, yep. Yep.
Very rarely ever use.
Yes.
I don't. Stacy, you don't know any other?
No, we're very protective of it
Very.
too. We make sure, like, even yearbooks, we went to a model where now they have to go online to get their yearbook versus giving the yearbook company everybody's information. So we are very protective of it.
I think we do a good job
Jeff, PII is, it's personal information, there's certain cybersecurity requirements that are needed. How do you guys protect that data and make sure that only authorized people have access within the school as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know your answer though.
Okay. And the only reason I bring that up is if you, what's that?
We have passwords and login security.
It's not even anything that I can identify somebody's identity. So name, address, phone number together is PII. And if you're a bank or you're a medical institution, you follow certain requirements to protect that information. What you'd hate to see is you've got all this information on students and parents. You'd hate to see a breach, and then all that information leaked in some way. So typically, if it's healthcare, there's HIPAA or high trust that you have to follow certain cybersecurity requirements if you're processing that type of data, right? If SOX for financial institutions, FERPA is, but it doesn't get into the technical. Yeah, so just something to keep in mind. That could be.
I mean, my quick answer would be everyone has a username and password for specific information, so that would be breached, but that could be very easily.
So that's like internal controls. It's
Correct.
The external factor of
Exactly.
similar to what happened
Correct.
last school year.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like a map of who has access, what level of access, least privilege access. So only people that really need access to Power School into that information. Things like auditing accounts, if staff leaves that have access to that. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different little things. Just something to keep in mind. I'd hate to see, people's information leaked, and the school have some kind of legal requirement to.
I'll get with Steve Dennis.
Yeah. I just thought of it when I was looking through. Sorry.
Question.
Also, another question around the equal educational opportunity. You did see that in each of the handbooks. It was in, I believe, one of them last year. That it all is the same language. For some reason, the high school language it's mixed up in a different order. So we will look to it's the same information that is shared there, but that is law.
It is different.
It's a change of the information.
There's no mention of transgender in the high school handbook. And my question would be, Jeff, is what's our most legally, not restricted, but our most legally vague terminology? Because I don't see the inclusion of transgender having any place in elementary or the MAC. I don't understand why we need to specify it.
So my understanding would be, and we can definitely check on this as well, that the legal team through Neola here, this the equal educational opportunity that is written here and is in all three, not the high school one. The high school one has, the only difference would be the order. And
Do a search for transgender in high school and verify. So it's very different, I mean, I shouldn't say very different, there's certainly different language in the new Neola, because it talks about a whole list of, it talks about sexual orientation, physical, mental, linguistic, emotional, or learning disability, or other characteristics protected. It talks about marital or parental status. I don't think that's possible. So it's a different block. And if this is the least that we can put in, then we should update the high school to be the same. My question would be if Neola has done something, we've agreed to that. My personal opinion is I don't like it. So that's my question, is if that's necessary to have that in there, or we can simply say we provide equal educational opportunity in alignment with state and or I should say federal, or policy talks about federal law, and leave it at that, or do we have to go into enumerate all of
Well,
Yeah, that's.
And I had a question similar to Joel's that you read on the high school. What does students' right of expression mean? What is students' right of expression?
Where's that at, Tom?
It's in this overall.
Whereabouts? I just want to
See this, it's on his bullet
So it's
point.
major.
Major overhaul,
Okay.
added sections, enrolling in school, immunization, student records, review. It's on page, shoot, I don't know what page it is. Page 32. But this is student rights of expression. What does that mean?
Student expression and or publication. It's 5722 in the board policy. Students should not distribute such publications in classrooms or hallways or any other manner in school property or school-sponsored events. Students shall not engage in solicitation, surveys, or distribution of any material without prior approval from the principal. Students wishing to put information on the bulletin boards must obtain approval from the administration. Students are subject to discipline, including but not limited to suspension or expulsion for any appropriate actions. Appropriate actions include publishing, distribution, or advertising of materials which are lewd, profane, or obscene, materials with threatening acts of violence toward the person or group of individuals.
You have to read it all.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
was just wondering what it meant.
Yep. Yes, so that's what it means.
Okay,
That
not what I
there's
thought.
certain
So that's
rules.
but I'm over here with Joel.
So,
I think when you go so far as listing, you're just bound to leave out one
It's
variation
evolving.
of
That's
something.
the other part of it
Yeah.
too, so you leave it up today and then either it's at risk tomorrow.
so in August, this is gonna come back and that'll all be changed again because new Title IX requirements are now changing again. So I would imagine that will change again. So what we'll do, and we'll continue our discussion here, but we could approve minus the, equal,
What was our statement in there before I failed to look at?
it was the
last
one
year?
that's in the 3.
Last year it was in the 3?
Correct. It was in, definitely the middle schools. I guess I'd have to check specifically in the others. But the high schools kind of always had their own model to it, and now it's into the, now, and I don't know if they tried to just melt the two of the handbooks together, and that's how they got the verbiage that they did. The language that you see in the 3, meaning the MAC, RO, would be the Neola True print. So I guess if there was a question, I would say that the Neola lawyers would say, yep, that right there will be printed for you in the NBC.
Why would they want them to match?
We do. I don't know why high school is different. It had the same information when I looked at it, but I guess that there could have been transgender left out of that, so then I guess
I feel like it's reinventing the wheel to make the whole new.
I'm sure what it was is that information was in the old high school handbook and they just copied and pasted that and meant the same thing they thought in their eyes, but left out information. So I'll get that, but I'll be honest with you, I think it's all changing for August. We're meeting, correct? With Debbie.
In September, policy
No, August.
policy, so I don't know if that's, if
I
I can
think
get
it's
the language.
changing, my understanding would be changing to be more inclusive in September or August. Based on what the federal government has said,
Probably.
which is still
I mean,
in debate.
maybe
right?
more-
Still.
more clarification. I don't know if more inclusive is the right word, but more clarification.
Well, include the broader spectrum of protected classes, is I guess what I'm saying, by parentheses. Alright, so, I don't think it's going to, the statement that's in the first three will be, yeah, it seems like that's gonna be that or more items added to it. I guess my question is that,
What's the minimal?
what's the least that we need to say that is still saying, hey, we comply, we have a
communicate that.
policy that says that we're gonna state, we're gonna comply with the federal laws.
Yeah.
Just because they want to pretend doesn't mean we have to.
I'm just trying to stomach that we put that in an elementary handbook.
So I will answer the question of the least needed of equal education opportunity. For who? For
us.
our lawyers,
And
us.
if I don't like it, I'll ask again.
It
All lawyers have
almost
opinions,
seems like
so-
a recognition type thing.
I looked at a couple options, other, I'll say conservative colleges, just to see other, and they were very vague. Hey, we comply with, no sexual harassment or Title IX policy according to federal, like, we don't discriminate, but they did go through all the different marital and parental.
Listing them as such.
Just seemed excessive. Again, my opinion.
So, are we going to vote on these, or are we going to then?
Well, officially, you would have to, I don't know.
Make another motion, or
Vote
we
it down.
squash this down.
Oh, we can-
Is there a suggestion?
So, yeah, the motion was to approve all
Oh,
the
it is,
handbooks.
okay.
I guess I don't understand why we approve now, just to have to bring it up again in a month to vote on it again.
Well, we gotta send something out to kids for package, right? I mean, that's the thing.
The issue is we're,
So, my following question, policy committee, was this seen by the policy committee, did we just catch it?
It's not part of the policy.
It's not part of it?
I mean, there is policy.
Yeah, I mean, the board
So
policy.
board policy is 22-6.
We don't see his handbooks until last.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I was.
And it has, so as such, the Board of Education does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity, disability, age, exception by authorized by law, religion, military status, ancestry, or genetic information collected, protected classes, and its educational program or activities. So I guess
Yeah. A little less.
This one says it's traits of sex, and then it goes into these things, so
Yeah.
it's just materially different. That's.
Yeah, can't
Strike it
we
out.
let the policy itself be where the specific information is, as you've read, and
You mean like that, the Neola policy, right? in the
Yeah, I
instant
mean, I don't-
our own language?
Well, that's what they're saying, the Neola is the one that I
He's
that I
got-
object to, which is the traits of sex, including transgender status, change of sex or gender identity. The high school one, which doesn't state Neola, which has been scrubbed by Neola, has just a different paragraph.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why we can't be way more generic with that, and just say we don't discriminate for any reason.
See your
I
thoughts.
make that.
Well, we gotta deal with the motions here.
Let's deal with it.
So do we
can make
need
a motion
to,
adjust
do we
that
need to
inside
vote?
the motion?
Well, I think we need to vote.
We can make adjustment to amend it.
Adjust the
and then-
motion? Okay.
And then approve it, adjust it.
So how, we wanna amend the policy? Or amend the motion,
We make an amendment to adjust EO.
because something has to go out to the kids before.
School doesn't start for.
when did those?
That give you
Oh,
enough
I mean,
time?
Our next meeting is what, this
Would be
we could,
beginning of.
we could still work.
So is
We don't
that
get hard
still
copy or
online, do you
anything.
know?
Okay.
Part of the
Yeah.
online process, the curriculum handbook is the enroll.
Yes, and I think they want me to open up the
There's-
portal
there's my next
on, I think they want me to open up the portal 14th or 15th, which would be after our board meeting.
Okay, that sounds great.
So we can vote this down.
You just table it?
Table it.
Table.
Until next.
Yeah, you want to get the verbiage right, though. I mean, I think that you want to,
Absolutely.
Whether it's in the back to the lawyers, are gonna
Yeah.
have their opinion on it.
yeah.
I think it's-
So procedurally, I'm not sure, do we just say table it, or do we
There's a technical term.
actually
I can't remember.
vote it down?
This is testing your knowledge, Ms. Firestein, talk to you guys about it.
You have a motion and a second, so you have to vote
You
on
have
it.
That's what I thought.
It's already,
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
we're
there's
just,
a rule
there's a
that you can.
suggested motion, but we didn't make the motion.
yeah, but procedurally, even if we vote it down, it doesn't mean we can't re-vote on this at a different point.
Yes.
We close out this motion, and then Jeff can bring it back to the board in August. So it's easiest, I think, so. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Well, in
Opposing?
favor.
Well, the original
motion.
motion, the original motion.
Let's approve it.
Okay, so I'll restate
Okay,
the
let's
motion.
read
You don't
the,
need
The
to-
motion is-
You don't need to vote.
To approve the 24-25 handbooks for MHS, MBC, RRO, and MAC as presented. All those in favor? All those opposed?
yes.
Okay, so motion does not carry. Jeff, coming out of this, we'll look to put these back on the agenda for next month. Correct? All right,
With the
changes.
changes around equal education opportunity,
Correct.
what can legally be changed based upon those?
Yep, correct.
And be the same.
Yeah, consistency and vagueness.
Ask if you
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Item 8B on the agenda is consideration of approval of course catalogs. Suggested motion to approve the 24-25 course catalogs for MHS, MBC, RRO, and the MAC as presented. Moved by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion.
Oh, I got papers, mine all.
Should be nice and cool though.
Are we on all of them? Where are we at? NBC?
The,
That's all
all
Source
of them.
categories.
All of them.
Okay,
All
so
of them.
here we go. RO. So RO and the MAC are the same. NBC, throughout the guide, dates have been updated to the 2024-25. Nope, that's the high school. Middle school is, should have read here, it's the same as before. Bear with me, guys, sorry. We have it right in there. Nope.
I mean, Jeff sent all this information out before.
Yeah, so I think it's on the back side. I don't believe there's any changes at the middle school. Let's see, no changes for our. It was on the sheet, with the other changes for NBC, it was on the same sheet.
I wasn't sure.
The same.
Oh,
I know. Yes.
Here we
The,
go.
the course is right there.
Other than those listed above, the rest of the handbook is the same as 2023.
Okay. Yeah, that's, of course.
I don't see any listing.
It's right, it's.
I don't even see.
Yeah.
I do not
okay.
believe there are any
Okay, got the high
You're looking
school.
for NBC? Jeff?
See what NBC has.
I don't know. Doesn't say.
And the catalog in there, but it doesn't say that there was any change.
Yeah, it does.
There are no changes to that.
Okay.
Okay.
looking for something that's not there. Montague High School, throughout the guide, dates have been updated to the 2024-25. On page 2, the statement at the bottom indicating that beginning with the class of 2028, students are required to earn a 0.5 credit in financial literacy. That's a requirement. Link to the updated MCBA catalog was added as well. Updated English 10A and 10B descriptions. We have a math success seminar course description that we added. Page 19, peer-to-peer course description added. And then page 21, CTC course names updated that they gave from us. So no major. I guess the one thing would be just the language around the new laws around the financial literacy class that is required with the class of 2020.
And peer-to-peer is a course now, because I thought we had to take it out because it wasn't a meeting.
It is a course based upon, it's an elective course that provides students opportunities to support model academic and social skills, positive outcomes in the school experience for a peer with specific learning needs. So it's the individuals or the students that are allowed to be in that class as their X or as an intervention or a special assistance class.
So then it'll be like kids kind of mentoring other kids type of a class?
Yes, they're
Wonderful.
correct.
Probably a credit, no credit, or versus a free?
I believe the students that are receiving the peer support would get a grade. Correct. I can send you more details as well. It would receive credit to our special education services class. How the other peer component, I'm not sure how they're getting that, unless that there are other special education students that are as the peer, possibly. Or if they're,
Yeah, if it would be like an elective.
yes, correct.
Right.
Possibly. I'll email that to you.
Looking through the high school catalog, lots of AP classes. What are the advantages to AP classes for kids? It seems like we have a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Well, the research is so, the more AP classes you take, the higher academic abilities you'll have
Okay.
within a high school career. I would say it's based on desire right now, requests from our high school students, with them having more opportunities for AP classes.
What does that do for-
Earlier time frame.
Okay, so but what does that do for, I mean, is it college credit? Is it?
It can be college credit if you take the AP class, pass the AP test, you can then get college credit. It also, as far as the grade is concerned, it allows you to get a higher GPA possibility, which is very advantageous for some of our students as they're looking to go to some high-level colleges where GPA at the highest levels, it does matter that it's a 4.25 versus a 4.1 or a 4.0 in their acceptance.
Or 3
Or
Right.
Or two. Okay, so I was just curious as I was looking through
I
that.
think
It
our
seems to
push
be a trend.
is, there is, and it's trying now to find AP classes at an earlier time period or an earlier level or
Why not just send them to
expands.
early college?
Because then those students are going elsewhere in the district. I guess it's something, we do offer that.
Yeah, no, I know.
But it's less, we lose the FTE as well.
So it was the dollars.
Are you saying AP earlier, like 10th and 11th grade?
Yes, like ninth grade. Like some of our AP computer science can be now taken in ninth grade. And then there are AP opportunities at younger ages, which then will advance the AP offerings that we have.
I'm just seeing GPAs at like 7.
So,
No, I think there's a mathematical equation.
But yeah,
I've never seen a 5.
so of course, I'm not anti-education. Being a tech guy, I'm curious how you would evaluate somebody for an AP, a 9th grade AP computer science course. Like, I don't even know that there's anybody within our district that's like, would know how to do that. Does that make sense? So like,
Well, there's a national standardized test for it.
so they take it.
Yeah, you have to administer their test.
Okay.
And how
When they tell
many
you.
students would be required to pass that test before we have that as an offer? Or they?
So we're offering it, I mean, we started it, we offered it. I believe, I mean, it's hard to pass those tests to get college credit. And it's not meant to be easy, we're not trying to.
Yeah.
The colleges don't want you just in high school with college credits and different things like that. So it's hard, you know, it's very, what percentage wise? 10%?
Depends on the subject.
Depends on the subject.
Passing
test, yeah, to pass that test for college credit.
But if they pass it for.
They'll pass
just
the
course-
class. They'll pass the class. It's the test that will give you college
Okay,
credit.
so my logic is just going full circle.
Okay.
So you can pass the class but not pass the test that will give you college credit, doesn't that?
Right, it's just like passing a class and failing on a final exam. They're not passing a final exam that week. Kind of the same concept.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
AP teacher would teach that curriculum and then give the exam at the end, and it's rated like a 1, 2, 3, or 4.
But it is and it isn't, because they pass the AP class, but they don't pass
So you
the,
learn the content but can't pass the test.
but can't pass the test, right? So you don't get college credit. It seems a little. My bigger concern is just that this seems to be a bit of a chasing. Yeah, I don't know, like a trend to offer lots of AP classes and yeah. So I
can tell you this, with a girl going into a junior year.
yeah.
Her comment to me was that Montague does not prepare you for college.
Well, no high school.
She's a 4.0 girl.
Yeah.
She's like, I am.
Not 4.25.
So Jeff, what's the stress that this puts on our staffing?
Yeah.
The demand additional headcount, higher certifications, which are more expensive. I'm just, because that would be the counter to that is like, if we have a bunch of courses that are filled with 15 people instead of 30, we need more people to do it. We need more. That's my concern, I guess.
It could happen, depending on today's. Now, obviously, like for math, there's AP statistics, there's AP calculus, and AP, what's the other one? Not calculus, but
There's chem,
Geometry,
physics,
algebra,
no, higher.
environmental
physics,
science,
calculus, differential equations.
Look in the course catalog, it'll tell us.
environmental science, chemistry, physics.
AP Calc and
Stats.
AP something go back and forth, and it's not stats. The stats is one that is highly on demand. We'll go back and forth. So you'll get
Yes.
your AP Calc, and then you'll get your other AP Math. AP Chem would be one, then you get your AP Physics. So every other year to keep those numbers up. Does it require a certification for these teachers or extra certification is not the right word because they could, but extra training, yes, we do send. For instance, AP Computer Science, we sent. It was a week-long program. We paid for that individual to go for the week and all the materials to do that. So
Is there a minimum threshold that for us to maintain enrollment, we need to offer X number and we need to be reaching to 9th grade to maintain enrollment? Because that would be the other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
We
sure
don't wanna
kids.
lose.
I'm sure kids are clamoring for AP classes. I mean, it looks good for college enrollment. My concern is not so much how many AP classes.
Science is dropping.
No,
Math.
yeah, it's my concern isn't so much the amount of AP classes. It's are other classes not difficult enough? Does that make sense? That we need a bunch of AP classes to. And this is a bigger question than this board. And I'm not trying to. It just was something that came up when I was looking at the CatchMark. So you know what I mean. But it is a trend. I was just curious. We can move on. This is a philosophical thing that we will
Have
talk
you looked
about.
at other district catalogs? to see
Yeah,
if
they all do it.
they're-
They all do it.
And we have already started working in partnership with Whitehall to provide even more opportunity.
Yeah,
As a
And again, the logical person in me, and I get it, it's a dollars thing, but the logical person in me is like, why wouldn't you just send them to college to get them real college credit and give them better opportunities to understand how college actually works instead of trying to mimic that into high school?
Because now they're taking AP calculus,
Yeah,
not passing the test to get credit,
Correct.
and still have to take it again.
but it looks good on their,
On their entrance, and it's community, it's being in our own building rather
Right.
than leaving the building and going. It's the same reason why I think a lot
Because they're
more people might
comfortable.
do the CTC, component if they didn't have to leave the building, if they could do some of those classes here as well.
Yeah.
And just rapid topic, county driving and speeding and bad weather.
And it's not that they can't.
yeah,
They can.
Every single kid. will
yeah,
take
go
college
take
classes.
out classes.
Well, let me rephrase that.
Everyone has the
Criteria,
Right.
the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, all those are good reasons. I
Yes.
just like resilient kids. So, all right, we can keep going. And any additional discussion on the catalogs? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8C, consideration of approving school loan revolving fund annual application resolution. The suggested motion to approve the school loan revolving fund annual application resolution as presented. Moved by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion.
Obviously, this is our loan fund that we do every single year. Stacy's put this together. As you can see, there'll be a signature from both Ms. Francis and Ms. Dahl. I'm looking for estimated accrued interest of 5%. Stacy, anything else that you'd like to add to this?
So we just do this every year. This helps us to meet our debt service obligation. So last 2 years, we've been in repayment mode. This year, we've slipped back into borrowing mode. So we are anticipating we'll borrow about $182,000. We do work with PFM. They're our financial advisors. They look at our tax revenues and they let us know about how much we'll be borrowing. But it is still anticipated because they have amortization schedules. It is anticipated we will have this completely paid off by 2037.
So this is just for cash flow.
Yeah, for our debt services, yeah.
And this is the current computing village of some.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Item D, motion carries. Item 8D is consideration of approving Katie Patton as a new special ed teacher, grade 6 to 12. Suggested motion to approve Katie Patton as a new special ed teacher. Moved by Tom, support by Scott.
Katie Patton is a parent here within the district. She has children and lives in the community. She is a current MAISD special education teacher. We're excited to have her. We've tried this option previously and finally have struck a deal to get Katie 2 years to the district. So we're extremely excited. Like I said, we will be looking for another special education teacher as well.
She's gonna be shared position then, is that 612? So how-
She is going to be at the elementary.
No, it says grade 6 to 12.
Some districts.
She's good, I mean, I remember her as a long time,
That is
as
true.
a sophomore.
I mean, it doesn't impact the motion.
No. You're so hard
Higher
on
than
her.
that's all good. We are hiring her, right?
No, we are. I don't know why it says 612. It's an elementary position.
Okay.
And I guess there is a position that had some split between elementary and middle school. Maybe that's why it's 6.
It's 6 years old through 12 years old.
Could be. More realistic, for sure.
Nice one, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so one quick bit of housekeeping. Tom did look it up. You can table a motion, but you have to have a motion to table it within it. So
Just table it, you can just table it till, you have to give a specific timeline. So I'm saying we'd like to table this until
yeah.
the August
Yep. Whatever they needed. So we could have done that just as a housekeeping item. Item 9 is adjournment.
Did we vote for Katie?
Oh, sorry, yeah, all those in favor?
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Item 9 is adjournment. Moved by Tom, second by Scott. All those in favor stand up.
Turn it
Say
around.
yes.
All those in favor say yes.
Can't see that.
Opposed, no. Motion, meeting adjourned. Yeesh. Too hot, I can't concentrate right now.
Struggling, cross-contaminated my 2 folders here, and I have no
It's like the
understanding
last
of
video.
what
It was fun to watch, I'm not gonna lie.
No,
Well, that's like you last week,
Yeah,
using my
if you
spot,
were
'cause I was
organized,
reading ahead.
I'm not anymore with this, for sure.
It's easy to do.
Repetition.